My name is Bob Richter with ROI Consulting. I started as a developer with Sage back in 1992, which seems like a long time ago considering I just talked to my kids about an NFL player who wasn't even born then. And started working for a reseller back then and started doing integrations with Sage 100. And then in 1997, we started ROI Consulting and began just doing and specializing in integrating Sage 100 to external platforms. Back then, it was really just websites. That was the big thing. And then our module is a Sage 100 module. It gets installed right in just like any other add-on like Mapadoc. It's called IN-SYNCH. And its job is basically to automate business processes in Sage through integration. I'm just reading off that. I got some figures that I didn't memorize. So, currently, a typical implementation today would be something like we would maybe solve a pain point for a customer of, their Magento shopping cart or their Amazon shopping cart or one of those. And then once that's accomplished, then the next thing is, now the integration floodgates are open and they now discover that the pain point that we relieved for them has now turned into what can we do next? And so the original, get the orders into the system, because that was the only thing that was required back then, has now become, let's do, let's get the eBay orders in the system. Let's set up a Walmart marketplace. Let's set up 3 other Amazon channels. Let's hook it up into a Shopify website that we have, et cetera, et cetera. And so currently we've set up systems with point of sale systems, 3PL systems, warehouse management systems. We've done intercompany between companies in Sage 100 where one company's fulfilling orders or handling inventory for all of the other companies, and they're passing back and forth invoices and sales orders and purchase orders and receipts, et cetera. The most common integration, now, or the most popular one, is the website, where if you've got a Magento shopping cart or Shopify or BigCommerce, getting one of those set up with Sage 100. Our system is sort of front-end agnostic, where when we look at it, an integration, it's you want to integrate Sage 100 to something else. We'll integrate your toaster in your kitchen if we could. And like I mentioned before, one of the big things, the most common things that we see is when we get on a requirements call, let's say, is that the person who we're talking to, their pain point is what can they do now that they have to relieve based on what their constraints are with people. And so if I was just on a call with someone recently where they wanted to alleviate the sales orders getting into the system. So we set up, we started going down that path, and then as we were discussing, they suddenly realized, well, wouldn't it be great to have real-time inventory or ship notices or have customers be able to create new contacts? And they said they didn't even think of that because the nightmare for them was getting the orders into the system. So as soon as we start that conversation, normally oh yeah, we could do that, we could do this, and we could do that. And then suddenly it turns into a much larger project for them. So this is just an example of what we're the different shopping carts on the left, and then on the right we've got we've also set up a number of I don't know what you want to call them, maybe just sort of one-offs where they've got a fulfillment system or a specialized channel with one of their customers where they don't do, maybe it's not a website, maybe it's not a like an Amazon type scenario. They may have no integration capabilities, and all they're doing is sending data to via FTP to a specific folder on their system or providing them data in this format. So we've done a number of those also. And that's the example at the top where it says supplier customer XML FTP. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through just give 3 examples of SWK clients that we've solved some things for, to give an example of some of the things, give some examples of some of the things we've done. The first one is an Amazon integration, and this is a company that about 5 years ago we had set up their Magento integration. And it was a plain, typical shopping cart integration where they're getting orders in and you know, pushing maybe ship notices back out so that the customer has an email. Then it turned into, after they got that set up, then it became, well, what else can we do? So we set up an Amazon integration. And the Amazon integration was just a very simple get orders in, send Amazon back real-time inventory figures so that their ratings would stay good, and send them back information of when something was shipped. Once that started, they began to, their volume with Amazon became just increased exponentially. And they wanted to start doing a number of other different channels with Amazon. So currently they do, in just their, the Amazon fulfillment network, they do 1,000 invoices a day. And then, and this is new on top of what they were doing earlier. They do 1,000 invoices a day, and then when they're, every 2 weeks when the Amazon reconciliation report, or when they get their reconciliations, they do cash receipts that are in the neighborhood of 10,000 lines every 2 weeks. And that's just for the Amazon fulfillment network and their cash receipts. They're also doing, because they're doing all these 2 other channels with Amazon, those are also coming in. So the result of just the automation with Amazon was a huge time saving for them. Another company was called Denali Advanced Integration, and they do enterprise level IT solutions for companies. What they had set up was a portal system to get their day-to-day work that they're doing into Sage, because they have their own custom system that's set up for their own internal users to do time, service, all kinds of things. And then they get those into basic purchase orders, invoices, you know, those kinds of things in Sage. They had a system where they were setting it up where it was sort of a manual system that they would kick off these different integrations. But they just, as they started growing, that suddenly became a pain point where now it was a large effort just to maintain keeping the integrations running. So what we did was we set up our system to integrate to their system, and what they do is, currently they're doing 200 transactions a day, which, you know, at the start for them is a lot, but what they're doing is creating new sales orders, new purchase orders, updating sales orders, updating customers, pricing, purchase order receipts, invoice history updates where they update these special memos. And then that volume will be tripling in the near future as we set up a whole new system of integrations with them. So this is one where it really took them to the next level, where they basically could alleviate any time and effort they were spending on these integrations, and now they can move forward with, you know, tripling their business or tripling the amount of work. They also do time entries from their system that also get pushed through into, I think they're doing that with invoices. The last one is a 3PL integration. And what their system was number one was they had a multi-company system where they had, you know, multiple companies in Sage. I think they're running about 6 now, where they also need to do integrations to various different shopping carts and systems. And so they needed something that could run multi-company all at the same time. Most of their customers are international, and they're selling the goods in the United States. The issue became that the administration fees started to get high because the amount of time it took to manage all of this and fulfill the orders and take the orders, et cetera, from all these different channels started to get cumbersome. And so what we did was we set up their operation with multiple companies, multiple integrations, and it lowered their costs. So let's see, I have a figure here where after all the integrations, what used to be much higher, their customers save so much in administration that they can achieve their ROI in 3 to 6 months, which was much higher than earlier, because the administration fees now are so much less because of all of this is now all automated. They do it's basic shopping cart integrations where they have multiple shopping carts with orders and inventory and shipping notices, et cetera. They also have another set of systems that are completely different than shopping carts, where it's FTPing information up to other systems that are retrieving it, creating exports of daily inventory quantities and order history and customers, et cetera. And that automatically goes up. So the amount of work that we're automating for them has really increased their production. So those are the 3 examples I wanted to give. Any other questions or anything or examples of what we can do, feel free to stop by or ask me. I'm sitting in the back there, but also be around tomorrow. Thank you.